Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's live stream. First of all, thank you for joining us. If you're joining us here live, obviously, or watching on the replay, one thing that's new with the live stream, don't forget that we are streaming now on Spotify and soon to be Apple, as well as some other platforms that you enjoy your podcast on. We'll do videos and audio only on there. If you do watch us on Spotify or Apple, don't forget, if you would, to leave us a review. That definitely helps helps our channel if you're liking the content. But today's guest, I'm really excited, and I've been kind of working on getting this happening for a while now, especially with a lot of our previous guests talking about the Catch-22 series and a lot of the veteran, the PTSD and the 22 a day thing. I really wanted to get this guest on. So today's guest is Levi Crawford. Now, he works with a organization. It's Rivers of Recovery. And what they do is they do veterans, suffering from PTSD. They do guided fishing trips and just really fellowship. And I'll have him talk a little bit more about it, obviously, but just a phenomenal person and phenomenal organization. I put the link in the description of the post I did originally of the show. If you want to check it out, I will repost that. So if you follow us on Facebook, be on the lookout for that. I definitely urge you to really just look at it, just learn about what they do over there. And if you can donate anything, that's completely up to you. But just learning about it, I think, is really, really key. And there's a lot of other organizations out there. But I'm going to go ahead and bring on Levi here. Man, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Man, appreciate you coming by here.
Yeah, I noticed that the hang on the of just a little bit there.
I was like, I always say like Rivers to Recovery and yeah.
I side-eyed him at the same time.
Yeah. You're probably punching him, jabbing him in the side a little bit.
She needs to just kind of do the elbow thing there, just like, yeah. But man, just starting out, just tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up at? And
born and raised here in Jonesboro. Graduated Valley View area. Kind of start for it. Joined military 17. Well, 2 days after turning 17, I had paperwork signed and was in. Went straight military. When everybody was partying from graduation, I was going to boot camp. So, that, I guess that's the beginning, and we can talk about a whole lot of training and deployments and bombs and bullets and everything. First though, dude, I gotta thank you just for reaching out to me and asking, if we could be on it. It's kind of funny, this stuff right here, just public speaking and cameras and stuff. It kind of just scares the shit out of me. And my job in the military was bombs and bullets. That's the only thing I've ever done my whole life, and that I can do completely calm. And this is like, you kind of have to talk to yourself and everything and kind of get calmed down on it. So, but it's good for me, and I'm always glad to do them. And it seems like something good comes from all of them. So thank you so much for doing it. I just had I've got the son now, 17 months old, and seems like it's pretty easy to get in kind of a routine, and some of these uncomfortable things like the public speaking stuff, you find excuses, and the 17-month-old son's a great one to say, keeping you busy, and used to stay away from it, I guess.
There's no such thing as a natural at public speaking. I always, and I'll have someone say like, man, you do really good on your videos. I'm like, it's not the first take or the second or the third. And there's a lot of cutting and pauses, and just like you said, the pause there, like so you fake it till you make it, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So what branch of the military did you go into?
I went Army. I served Army National Guard. I stayed active most of my time through. I did a lot of schooling in between deployments. Just, I don't know, where there's a need for something. It seemed like I was always willing and the one selected to go learn it and then teach it to others.
And I had a listener, Michael S. He was asking if you turned 18 in boot.
Oh, dude. Let's see. I think I turned. My dad would be able to riddle this off super quick. I think I turned 18 in basic. I turned 19 in a military school. Mm-hmm. I turned 20, ramping up for my first deployment to Iraq. I turned 21 in Iraq. Woohoo, you know. So yeah, my birthday's it's not party time most of the time.
Yeah. So what year do you know? Remember what year you first deployed? Roughly
2006.
Okay. Whoa. So that's peak war then.
Yeah. I was in Iraq in what they ended up calling for that time the hottest spot for improvised IEDs, improvised explosive devices. If I say something during this that you're like, what the hell is that? Just ask, because sometimes I'll speak military jargon and not really realize it. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
But where we were was a hot spot for IEDs in one of the hotter times of that war.
Yeah.
We found, I quit keeping up with the finds that we were credited for after we hit 500 in one deployment.
Wow.
So we did good. It's pretty rewarding. I've not researched this, but we were told, or I was told, that statistically, one IED found by us saves 1.5 lives. So I guess that's what kind of got me keeping up with finds and stuff at first. So,
man,
I see somebody. I'll go ahead and hey, Semper Fi, cool Marine. No, I wasn't EOD. We were ended up being a self-sustained, like a sapper type unit, where we didn't have to wait for EOD. EOD will be the ones that will dispose or take what we find away. And towards the end, because we were finding so daggum many and everything, we just got qualified and able to run the robot and blow the bomb or whatever we needed to do.
What was your biggest motivation to enlist? Was it a family thing? I
mean, it's all I've ever wanted to do. I do have some family. It's not like just everybody in my family served. My mom's side, my mom's dad, my grandpa and mom's dad, and my mom both served. My dad didn't serve military, but he was a police officer. But I can't remember wanting to be anything else. Kids always say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, and every day it changes. I just always wanted to be military.
That's awesome.
I will tell you how I ended up doing what I did, though, and it worked out. I wouldn't change a thing, and it was great. But when I went to sign at 17, I was looking through everything, and I did really good on testing. And they're pretty well like, unless you want to be a brain surgeon or something, you can do whatever you want. Here's the book. And he ended up saying that the biggest sign-on bonus at the time was to do explosives. So I don't remember what it was now. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
$4,500 or something.
Sounds like a lot though at the time.
At 17, heck yeah. That's rich money. So that's what got me in it.
And we're both big fans of the series Band of Brothers. My father was actually he's quite a bit older than my mom, and he was actually a World War II vet.
Oh, wow.
And he was from the Pacific Theater. I had an uncle that was in Europe, and I had, I believe an uncle that was in Korea. And my dad was actually the one that kind of talked me out of service, honestly. And then by the time 2001 happened, I had a young family, and but anyway, it's kind of one of the regrets I have, because I've always held that generation and generations after in such high regard. To me, the World War II generation really saved the world,
right?
Literally.
Yeah,
And
literally.
All of the all of the issues that, my father had, and there was a lot of them, there still is that backbone of it. And, you can, they, from growing up as a hard life during the Depression to, being, too young for World War I, but when, World War II runs around, and then even Band of Brothers, when they were talking about, signing up for the paratroopers, it was like, what, an extra $50 a month or something like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, sign me up. But man, so we'll get right into it here. So
yeah,
obviously,
hey, I'm not one to take notes at all.
Yeah.
I kind of like shooting from the hip on it, and
yeah,
it just seems that everything's more authentic and comes from the heart and instead of the brain, maybe. So that's kind of how I do most all of these. I had to take some notes for this one though. You had Chad Hoover on, which thanks for having me follow up a professional speaker like that. So,
he could speak.
Oh yeah, that was a great show. I enjoyed
Thank
it immensely. But I told you earlier, he said something that really just stuck with me, and it was like,
yeah,
made perfect sense with that. Can't buy yesterday. When he said that, it blew up on me. I'm still in it and applying it to life now with what we're doing for veterans and my personal life with son and everything. So that was great. He also, I'm kind of starting with him before we just jump into
absolutely
or whatever, because there were some things that just whenever he's talking about it hit. The Catch-22, I've just learned of some of what he's doing with it, but whether it was on purpose or not, I'm not sure. But he's kind of just creating an outdoor community to share with fishing experiences and just whatever happens, especially on the river. You know how that can be.
Oh yeah.
And then bringing veterans and everything into it. I applaud him for that, because with Rivers of Recovery, one of the things that I really liked is they've researched and having that community based on outdoors and like me and you fishing, or just, whatever those groups are, is proven to help with, civilian everyday stressors to veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress. So kudos to him, and hats off. If I could help him with anything, I'm happy to.
Absolutely. So, you're deployed over, and you're hunting down IEDs, and then one day obviously things change for you. So if you don't mind, share with us and share with the listeners a little bit about what you remember from that day and what came about there.
Okay, that was. It was after the Iraq deployment. It was 2010, May 26, 2010. I was in Afghanistan and ended up, after all the bombs that I found found me first, a daggum RPG got me, rocket propelled grenade. Mm-hmm. It was pretty early in the mission. We hadn't been out 10 minutes. We found out later that they had been a prep for a long time. They had tunnels dug, and it was just a straight ambush, complex attack. The RPG that hit me was the first RPG that initiated it. I was the lead vehicle. There ended up being 2 more RPGs, insane amount of small arms, AK-47 type fire, and I believe it's 15, 16, 17, something like that, mortars coming in. So whenever the first one that hit me came, it completely blinded me. I'm sure it knocked me out for a matter of seconds, because most of it was I took most of the explosion on my head, knees up to face, but a lot of it was head damage. But I could hear the attack for all of it. And you're talking about Band of Brothers and everything. Yeah. Man, that really is what it sounded like, because you can hear the RPGs coming, and the pucker factor in that after you've just been hit by one, and and you can't see that it was crazy. And then all the small arms and mortars coming in, and I was there helpless because, you know, I couldn't see, and I could move a little bit, but I couldn't even get myself out of the vehicle. But that went on for, seemed like, days. I don't really know how long the attack lasted. I went out for a little bit, thankfully, because the whole time I was out and hearing all of it, I was trying to find my weapon, because everything in the vehicle got schmammered around. But because I was thinking, it's like, man, they're coming to get us. This is it right here. Yeah. So in my mind, I was like, as soon as this door opens, I'm dumping everything I got, you know. Yeah. But I went out, and medic pulled me out and everything. And next thing I remember was I was already on a stretcher and being casevac'd from a vehicle back to our COP, or where we were staying. Mm-hmm. And there's a helicopter landed there because they couldn't land with how hot it was where we were. And they carried me from there to the helicopter. And the whole time in my mind, it's like, man, all my buddies here, and it was kind of early in deployment. We probably had 6-8 months left. It's like, I'm out of it, and they're here. I kind of felt bad and kind of wanted them to know, like, you know, I didn't regret anything or whatever else. And so, well, actually, let me back up. I thought I was still on the battlefield then. Yeah. But the only thing that I could think of to kind of say, like, hey, screw you, to, you know, the people we're trying to help that attacked us, and, like, kudos and, you know, whatever to my brothers, was freedom. So I was butt naked on a stretcher, thinking I was in the battlefield still, being put on a helicopter, yelling freedom. And I had a lot of damage on my neck. So a lot of it was actually coming out my neck from talking or whatever. But one of my good friends was there, and he was, shut up, you know. But anyways, that's just what I was yelling, as kind of my farewell to, I guess, Afghanistan. And
kind of like your Braveheart moment there.
Yeah, that's what everybody ended up saying. But in my, you know, blown up, scrambled mind, that's just the only thing I could think of. But from there, the last thing that I remember before being in the States and Walter Reed was being loaded on the helicopter. You know, I'm floating around on the stretcher, and you hear them talking over the blades saying, no, not that one last. And instantly it's like, thank God that's not me, because I was still moving. And then we stopped. It's like, oh shit, because the last one on is first one off, so it's always the worst injured. Yeah. And when no, not that one, yes. And then we stop and sit there for a little bit. It's like, oh God, maybe this is worse than I'm thinking or imagining, you know. But I don't remember anything else from there. But I flatlined a few times, so they had to keep me in Kandahar, and then I think flew me to Kabul, and then Germany for a little bit. And I kept getting to where I couldn't fly to the States, and, you know, until you're to a certain stability, I guess. So eventually I got to Walter Reed, woke up in ICU with my family there, and started recovery.
Good. Man, tell us a little bit about that recovery. That, I mean, was the recovery worse than the actual event?
I don't know. I'm not going to say, hey, you know, good things come from everything. You just have to work harder, you know, in certain events, I guess. But so, I mean, yeah, it sucked. It hurt, especially burning. The RPG is an RPG-7, so it had a heat round in it, so we burned. Okay. And that hurt. But you know, there's good that come from it. With me, with Rivers of Recovery, and, you know, helping guys out now and everything. So recovery was hard. It's humbling, I guess. It was a really good way to say it, because, you know, I went from manning a 50 cal and finding bombs and shooting all this cool shit to at one point I was strapped to one of the most awesome nurses, tiny little girl, and I was strapped to her with like a weightlifting belt kind of deal.
Oh yeah.
And standing on her feet, learning to walk again. It's like, man, I went from awesome doing cool shit to now I'm like a little kid learning to dance, or something. So that was a hard pill to swallow, I guess, for me, like pride wise. But I like telling everybody my experience with Walter Reed in the 2010-11 time, because I was there for a year, was great. My doctors were great. Everything was awesome. They got some bad publicity for, I guess, some care around that time, but mine was perfect. And they told me that they weren't sure if I'd walk again. And heck, I've ran marathon, and while I was still in the hospital, I went to New York with a good, very, very good friend, Gene Vassell, in Long Beach Waterfront Warriors, and did a 5K. And I was still in a wheelchair, and they gave me a walker, signed off like, if you'll take this. And it's like, screw that. We walked it. I'd say
Nice.
Steve walked, but probably didn't. But my recovery has been good. I'm hard-headed. I'm stubborn, and I guess
that helps sometimes.
Yeah, it did. For sure.
Well, man, what got you hooked up with Rivers of Recovery?
I hope y'all been staying cool. It's hot as heck out here.
It is hot. I don't know if you've heard that. So we're right by a sliding glass door behind us here. The AC is struggling to keep on. And I mean, you're in Arkansas too, so you know it all too well. It's so humid today, and we've got kind of this hot spot here where we're at. And I noticed it on one of the other live streams. I got a little bit of that shiny, that Baptist minister, look to me, and I'm just beating up sweat, and I had a light kind of off, which I don't have it here. I'm done with that. I think this looks good enough. I had a light here, and that light was like just radiating heat on me, and I was miserable. I want to say it was. I don't think it wasn't Chad. I think it was Fishing with Gramps, JT Hickman, which he's another good watch. A lot of those guys,
I watched it too. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of those guys are really big supporters of veterans in general. He does a thing called Freedom Squad, which is kind of a group of his buddies. And like I said, they do a lot of just really just, I don't know, just getting the word out. 80 degrees, 40% humidity.
I think we would take that in Arkansas right now.
I would in a heartbeat.
It's like 97 degrees today, and I don't know what the humidity was, but
hot.
past a certain point. What part of Southern Cal? Are you in San Diego by any chance, or? I'm just curious there, Michael. The reason I asked, I was born in Fontana, so every time I hear Southern Cal, it's. But. Anyways, sorry, but yeah, talk about what got you hooked up with Rivers of Recovery.
Okay, well, I guess you're asking about how recovery went and everything. I addressed like the physical part of it, which really is what most people think about when you're talking recovery, especially with how bad I was injured. But the mental recovery, I didn't even consider or think about. After about a year at Walter Reed, I kind of begged and pleaded with the doctors, like, listen, I'm good. I've improved a lot. Let's outpatient this back at home. I'm ready to get back to Arkansas. And they ended up letting me go. I got here. Got the doctor set up and everything, and civilian life kind of just punched me in the face. But, if you back up, I was military from 17. So, when people are learning some of the things in civilian life, I was learning bombs and bullets. So it punched me pretty good because, well, outside of learning it, I was also schools, training, Afghanistan, and then Walter Reed for a year. So, heck, I hadn't even cooked a meal in 2 years.
Yeah.
So it was a punch. It's hard. It's hard for me to do. And I was lucky enough. I got a call. I don't even know how she got my number. It's Amy Simon. I was just telling the story the other day. She called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, you want to go on a fishing trip?" And at first, it was, who the heck is this, and how'd you get my number? And now we're great friends, and she pulled me onto the team. But I went on it as a participant, and it did me a lot of good. On the participant side of things, all I seen was a bunch of guys hanging out and fishing, having a good time. And I was new to fly fishing, so learning something new. And for me, what was really cool was I had a right arm limb salvage. So I'm right-handed, but I don't feel and have the same range of movement that I used to, and a lot of scar tissue in like my wrist area and all that,
Yeah.
So the fly fishing, I didn't even know. I told her, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this or not. Never done it. And the movement, I don't know if I can do. So she just shut up, put your big boy pants on and come on. That's what I did. But just the encouragement and empowerment, I guess, of hey, I can do this. And now what's next? I didn't think I could. What else do I not think I can? And moving on and doing more and more. But I didn't even realize how much it did for me, like as far as, the mental side of things and the break and the reset and everything, till I got back. And some of my family and friends were kind of making comments of it. And it's, well, like the trip, that's the only thing that has changed. So some time went by. I was young, still recovering, had a lot of energy and didn't know where to channel it. So I was hunting and fishing for about a year every day, which seems like, a dream life. But at some point, I was on the water one day, and it's like, I'm not doing anything productive or like contributing to community. And it gut punched me. So I called Amy back. I had an idea, how fishing and mowing the yard, your mind just spins. And I had an idea, and I ran it by her. And she just like, why aren't you working for us? So I told her, it's like, hey, I'll do it, but give me extra time to bring it to Arkansas. And she said, it'll probably take 2 or 3 years because so much red tape and finding lodging to where it's handicap accessible and finding guides that understand, maybe some physical hindrances or obstacles on some of the guys that we're going to be taking out, and that catching fish is secondary, that having a good time and socializing is priority. So we don't you've got to qualify to be my guide. I'm not going to take anybody out. But so 6 months later, though, we ran the first one in Arkansas. 6 or 8 bets, I don't remember now. Mm-hmm. But it took 6 months to get it going, and it took off. We ran, I believe, at least 2 a year ever since I started. So very proud of that. Arkansas being home state and everything. We operate in every state, and where there's a need, I'm going and doing. But Arkansas is home. So,
man, Chad come by to say what's up to you.
Oh, hey, man. Hey, you had an awesome show on it. I very much enjoyed it. I'm kind of mad at Andy here that I had to follow such a professional speaker, though.
Well, and Chad, we definitely told him that you may not be a professional speaker, but you're definitely a speaker. So, but man, Chad, appreciate you coming by, brother. I said I definitely kind of asked some of those guys to come by and just say hey, and because again, they and I believe Chad was Navy veteran.
I think so.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's a Navy vet.
So I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing that, and I definitely I'm always a big fan of people that use their platform for something like that. Because again, and I'm not trying to just shower you with praise there or anything, but doing, and it humbles me because the ridiculous things that I do, whether it be on video or, I mean, I sell plastic boats for a living, and the fact that you guys are over there doing, and that's the way I take it. You guys are over there. You're fighting for each other.
Selling yourself short. I mean, look at all this that you're putting together with all the different veteran organizations, and how many
if we didn't live in a free country
of recovery and plastic boats, dude. Remember the first time we met? I was buying one of those plastic boats so we could take veterans out in it.
And I'm passionate about plastic boats, but to me, if we didn't live in a free country, none of that would be possible.
Right.
And that's just the way I look at it.
I'm just going to chime in here, Levi, because I think you do actually need to know how big of an impact you made, not only on him, but like people at the shop too. I came home and I think he was home already. I was like working late, and he's like, I got to tell you about what happened today. Mm-hmm. And so he started telling me about all this, and like, floored. When I say floored, I mean floored. What you're doing out there and the difference that you make. And, a lot of us at the shop have talked about it. It's huge. It is massive what you're doing. You may feel like you're really small, but it is just so important. I think what you do,
that's
especially as we've been talking a lot. I mean, it wasn't intentional that we started talking about military over it's been the last couple of weeks, but it's timely. It's timely. And I think more people need to know about it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I was telling you, well, thank you for that. First off, he's probably told you, like, dude, you wouldn't believe how ugly this dude was that came in.
Nope. Nope.
I told you, it's like, I'm not one to take notes or write speeches or whatever. It's just kind of shooting from the hip and talking from the heart type deal. But I did have to take some notes just on stuff that I wanted to hit because I didn't want to miss anything and sell everybody short. Mm-hmm. Let's see what we were just talking about it. Well, there's my.
Ooh, it's pretty shiny there. Yeah.
My brain injury stuff. Oh yeah. See, I told you, my scrambled brain now be all over the place.
Michael says all vets are pretty.
That's coming from a Marine though too. That's dangerous. Talking about vets and just being thought about and timely and all that. I'm super happy that we're not at war, obviously, but it's also like being on the serving combat vet side. Mm-hmm. It's kind of scary because they get, with war not being in front of the news, they're getting forgot about. And, those guys are men and women, the people that served, I mean, they're still carrying those scars of war. So, it's timely and just meant to be that we're doing this, and y'all tripped over, doing some military shows, and I'm thankful for y'all doing it, and we'll change the world with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like some of those guys before have talked about, specifically JT and Chad and them, is, the 22 a day, obviously the goal is 0.
Right.
But just getting that down just 1, and I've known, I talked about, World War II vets, but Vietnam vets and Persian Gulf vets. And, we're getting out of a 20-year war. And, the thing, really close friend of mine that was deployed, much like yourself, in both areas of combat, he said the hardest thing for him is obviously having to be on edge all the time and going, just driving down the road, just trash on the side of the road, potato chip bag or, an empty box or something on the side of the road. Just little things like that. Sure. Yeah. Just little things like that. Just really, he said it was so hard for him to get back into not worrying about that, not hitting the brakes, not, little things like that are things that I think everyday people like us, we don't always think about that. You're thinking of the bullets flying by and all that, but just little things like that carry over obviously into, like you said, civilian world. How do you turn that off? How do you get back into it? Because now you come back and you're done. And like you said, you spent up to that point your whole adult life in combat.
Right.
And now you're like, okay, what do I do now? And I feel like that is one of the hardest things to, just from what I've seen for veterans coming back, how do you transition back into the civilian life? What's your next mission, so to speak?
Hey, man, you're good with words. That's an awesome way to look at it, because I think all the people who serve, they need that next mission. If they come back and think, now what the hell am I going to do? Normally it leads to down a dark hole, with depression or drugs and alcohol and just everything. So, I'm fortunate with everything, and I try to sit back and realize it, every day. Can't buy yesterday, living with that now. But I was fortunate enough that before I just got too deep down any dark holes, that I found Rivers of Recovery, and that is my mission now, is serving the vets. And for me, it still keeps me around to kind of have that, feel like you're in the military a little bit, and we're making a difference. And there's a huge need there, and if me and you can, doing this and Rivers of Recovery going on trips can fill that void a little bit and make a difference, then that's my mission. We owe it. So.
Yeah. So if people want to go check out Rivers of Recovery, where can they go? What is there a website? Is there,
Yeah. It's www.riversofrecovery.org.
.org. Okay.
Please go to it. We're definitely, we're a nonprofit. I do want to talk some about some nonprofit stuff that was hit on before and everything. But obviously we run off donations, but I like to encourage everybody, just get on there and look, because we are researched, and we're continuing research, because we want to know that what we're doing is helping. There's a lot of organizations, and I'm grateful for them, that take vets out for like a thank you for your service trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, we're doing that with so much more going on in the background to help with and give them tools when they go back home to help with issues that they have, from traumatic brain injury or even some physical injuries like mine to post-traumatic stress. So look at some of the research, scroll through some pictures, see some vets smiling, and that's all I ask, really. So it's riversofrecovery.org, by the way.
Okay.
You can follow my personal on Facebook, Levi Crawford. I post a lot of the local stuff from what we do in Cotter. And obviously Rivers of Recovery has the national Facebook page too that you can follow if you want.
So, and tell us a little about what you guys do there. So I know you talked about, in Cotter. So somebody contacts, first of all, if a veteran out there is struggling, what do they do to get in contact with Rivers of Recovery or yourself or the local organization there?
Yeah. Depending on where you're at, if you're in this kind of area, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, let's say just a driving distance bubble, contact me directly. I can, especially if it's something, if you're down that hole pretty bad and don't want to wait a week before an email back or anything like that. Dude, I completely understand. Hell, I've been there. So do Facebook, Levi Crawford. Shoot me something. I've got you. I'll give my phone number out to all your viewers too. Hey, congrats on 1 million views too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But if you want my number, it's 678-294-7104. 7104. So again, it's 678-294-7104. Outside of just immediate, if you want to set something up, but it's not just drastic right now, you can get on our website and let us know that you're wanting to basically kind of apply. Obviously, you can send me a message, say, hey, when's the next trip? That's probably your best bet on doing it.
And describe the trip. What all is involved in it? What do you guys do?
Dude, we'd be here forever to kind of go over some of the details and the magic behind everything.
Yeah.
But the best, quickest way is, like all these combat hardened people coming back and everything, that probably need it the most, aren't going to sit on a couch and cry about whatever. It's just not in them. It's not their personality. But they sure as hell go fishing and sit around a campfire and tell lies and poke at Marines and Navy and Air Force and whatever else. And that's where the magic is in everything that we have set up, because you're getting that end result just through nature and being outdoors and in small groups. Again, a lot of research going in it to how many people and having the fires and games and how we do lodging and everything. But, on the vet side, what they say when they come in, you get there, we cook for you. Dude, you will not go hungry. We have steak, we have ribs. I've been doing a lot of crab bowls, breakfast every day, full breakfast, eggs, biscuits, gravy, bacon, sausage. It's you'll eat good. Then we hurry and get out on the water. We got the arrival day, dinner, hang out. Second day, breakfast, get out on the water. You're fishing with a professional guide and one other vet in the boat. Then we'll meet up for lunch. Some of the fish that you just got through catching, we'll throw in the grease. We'll have a big lunch together, get back out fishing, come back to the lodge, tell a bunch of lies about who caught the biggest fish and whatever else, and have a big dinner and do it all again. And a lot of times it kind of creates this community. A lot of people have not fly fished or been a while or, whatever, or they say, I love to do it, but I don't want to do it alone. Well, we're giving them that community. So at the last day, they're exchanging phone numbers and setting up more trips. I think they're still doing it. We had a guy from Connecticut and California that would meet. So the Connecticut guy would go and stay in California with them and fish for a week or so. And then both of them would go the other way and stay for a week or so and fish. So stuff like that is really cool to see. But in a nutshell, I'm not one to talk about just real detailed into the research and doctor side of it, but that's what you see and where the magic is in it.
And if you would just kind of, without me talking about it, why is Cotter the most beautiful place on the world? Hey, Cotter, Arkansas, right here.
Well, first off, it's my home state, so I'm definitely proud of that. And like I said, we run trips in several states now. Have been for a lot of years. To date, Cotter is the only trip that every veteran that catches a fish on a trip. So, nice. Which again, catching the fish is a secondary. What happens with the bonding and getting some skills of civilian life is the first goal and really all that matters. But I definitely like to say that Cotter, Arkansas is the only place that everybody has caught fish to date. So
nice. I want everyone to hear that. It's also the best place to look at kayaks, and I will die on that cross. But man, it's a different area. It's got that Mayberry feel to it. And
I love your store and the setting there. I've taken people by it just to kind of see the surroundings and everything. It's awesome.
Man, if you guys are ever around when you were open, man, bring them in.
Yeah, we can definitely set something up for it.
Yeah, we'll absolutely. Show. Nathan's one of my guys that works at the store. He knows the score. Thanks for joining us, Nathan. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, the whole area, the scenery. You got the White River right behind us. You got two very large lakes. You got Buffalo National River. You got Crooked Creek.
Right.
Epic smallmouth, largemouth, trout.
Yeah, all the species. There's a ton of species of them, and which I know y'all are probably used to it, so you can maybe not appreciate everyone, but the eagles. I think a lot of people out that are like, they've only seen a few in their life or something, and it's like, well, just keep looking up. We're going to see some today. So
if you need somebody to point them out for you, let me know. I know where they're at.
I always joke, I've always had a weird fixation on bald eagles. And growing up, they were so rare to see. And I grew up here in Arkansas. So I saw maybe one or two in my whole life. And I grew up on the Buffalo River, and they were both on that river. Now it's like they're all over the place. And her, of course, she's got a bit of a background in it, but she can look at a little black speck way up high. And to me, they all look like crows and vultures, but she could say, oh, that's an eagle. Like, no, and then look, sure enough, you look and it kind of gets closer. Like, I'll be dang. Man, I've been out there in front of the store looking up and just watching ones circling around. I mean, big ones. And we do a little hike over here by the Cotter City Park, and it's right along the White River, and literally right by the highway, there's a large eagle's nest. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool because when they nest, there's two of them. Right. You got the male and the female, and they come back every year, and one of them sets on it, one of them leaves, and the other one, they just spell each other. And every time we go across the bridge, the White River Bridge there, you can see a white head or two poking up, and it just I don't think it'll ever get old to me. I don't know how to describe it. And I know Washington and up north, they've got eagles out just all over the place, but it just in this setting, in this scenery, it's different altogether to me.
Yeah. And man, in the mornings running upriver, it's still some fog, and then you can hear them and maybe see one come over, and just knowing like the people that were taken out on the river.
Exactly.
It never gets old for me, and still gives me chills, Mm-hmm. I was sad to see that one really big nest. It was up from Wildcat going towards the dam. That one big one that the storm took out. Mm-hmm. Was that like 2 years ago or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was sad to see that, but it happens.
Yeah, if you need to know where the one that we're talking about is, let us know. We both know where it is.
Oh, hey, yeah, you can see it from the highway.
You can see it from the highway, and it's not far from the store, not far from our house.
Yeah, and then even just going down to the city park, you can usually see them, because the city park is not very far from the nest, so usually they're flying along the river, just hunting. And we were on the lake. There's parts of the lake you can see them all the time, but. Mm-hmm. On the lake, just seeing them actually catch a fish was just, I always think of I wish I had some better camera equipment to really capture that. But, I don't really film my fishing. I fish all the time. Yeah. But, to me, the fishing, there's millions of YouTubers that do fishing from kayaks and boats and all that. And to me, that's kind of my thing. That's me taking a break from filming and editing and all that. But, man,
you're doing what Rivers of Recovery is doing for the vets. You're getting recentered on it, and insane.
Absolutely.
The last trip that we did earlier this year. So we do shore lunches, So we're all gathered up, and we were stuffed and by the river, by the boats, and talking about getting back in and going back out. And this group had decided, they were going to keep up with who caught what and everything, and take pictures of it. So there's a lot of smack talk. Well, there's always smack talking, but there's definitely on this trip. And it'd been kind of a slow morning and a windy morning. So you know how it is with learning to fly fish and or getting back into fly fishing in the wind. But an eagle came over and caught a fish right in front of us. And everybody was just like, oh, that's awesome, you know, and everything. And I don't remember who it was now, but right in the middle of the excitement, he said, yeah, that eagle's caught as many fish as you, or something like that. You know, it was like, oh, yeah. It's super cool to see.
Hey, they're the best fishermen on the water. You know, they do it for their survival. We're just having fun with it.
Well, heck, you know, I'm scatterbrained. Don't let me lead you astray.
No, man, go for it. Go for it.
Trying to just make sure we're not missing something that I definitely wanted to hit. So, well, before I had Cohen, or I said my wife and I had Cohen, our son, one of my sayings was, I'm a vet first. So, you know, with Rivers of Recovery and what we do, that's not all. Like, if you've seen how much and what my desk looks like as far as, you know, getting vets what they need or just talking to them or whatever, like, I'm a vet first, you know. Now I'm a dad first. But I kind of got to see Rivers of Recovery as a participant and then ease into it. And like I told them, it's like, if I see anything that is not what I stand for and support, and cause being first, number one, the hell with you. I'm not doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And which they were confident, and they were right. You know, we're a big organization, but we're a small organization. You're talking to 50% of the full timers right now. I've got one, Amy is the only other, you know, full timer that we keep, but that's so if we get a dollar donated instead of 10 or 20 cents going to the cause, which is absolute bullshit, that it infuriates me. And there's so many organizations that do, you know, we're able to put so much more into it. And Amy's as passionate as I am about it. Kudos to her. She's been at it from day one. I know there's been a few times where, especially during COVID, it was hard for everybody, and nonprofits weren't getting away from that either. You know, we were talking on the phone. It's like, are you good with keeping it up and working without pay for a while? It's like, are vets still needing something? Hell yeah, they are. It's, you know, it was dark for everybody during COVID. So I kind of made a note because Chad had said something about, you know, some of the nonprofits and how some of the money can be handled, I guess, when he was talking about his B Corp and all that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of address that and I guess, you know, say how Rivers of Recovery, you might see some things not go as smooth. Like, it may take me a little bit to get back with you on an email, but it's because I don't have a team of people going through the hundreds of emails a day and stuff. But I'm proud of that at the same time, because keeping it small like that and not having a building, not owning anything. So, I mean, where we hover at for what goes to the cause is up there more than any other nonprofit that I know of.
Good. So, that's awesome.
I'm happy to hang my hat on that for sure.
And so the veterans that you help, and this is one thing that I remember you telling me, and if it's changed, let me know, but I'm assuming it hasn't. So the veterans that you guys help, you're taking on these fishing trips that you're feeding, that campfire and games and community, how much do those trips cost the veteran?
Oh, the veteran?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I'll pay lodging, out of state, in state, whatever it is, license. We take care of food. We buy everything. When they leave, they're leaving with whatever money they came with in their pocket, you know. So
that's awesome.
Which that's how it should be.
Yeah, and I you know, like I said, I really wanted to make that point for the people watching there, because, you know, and like you said, that's always in the back of my mind when, you know, you go get gas, or you go to the grocery store, or you go to the dollar store, and you're, you know, well, you want to round up for this. Like I don't know where that's going. And again, we're in the South here. You know, it's when you're talking about veterans, you're talking about just there's just, and I mean, I think the whole country loves their veterans, but in the South, in my opinion, it's just a little different.
It is different. I grew up in Illinois. It is different in the South.
It 100%, dude. So I moved around some with military, even though I was National Guard. And some of the places I've been when troops are coming home. So like my first deployment coming home, the 2006 deployment, Jonesboro stopped for a little bit. Jonesboro, Northeast Arkansas, is where I'm from and where we came out of and where we're based. It stopped. They had, man, it gives me chills thinking about it. They had 2 fire trucks with the ladders going up and the biggest flag in Jonesboro hanging down under it. And we were convoying under it. And the road was lined with, it had to be, 2/3 of Jonesboro. So that's awesome. And, I wished every vet coming back kind of had that same experience because it's just bone chilling. But I was, so, having that and then being some other places and you're, hey, what is that? It's like, oh yeah, they're just getting off the bus from, Iraq or whatever. It's like, holy shit, there's nobody there or anything. So yeah, I'm glad to be, like I said, I'm fortunate and I'm proud of Arkansas. I'm glad that's where I came from and everything.
And that's really sad though, is, personally, and I'm talking about locally here, people that know me, I think everyone assumes I'm just, I'm right or I'm left. I'm really not. But to me, I don't care whether someone agrees with the conflict or what's going on. That has nothing to do with the soldiers. So the people coming home, they deserve that. Like you said, they deserve to have that welcome. And, you always hear about the stories from the Vietnam vets and some other conflicts where, there was a lot of protest and there was a lot of unrest here in the country. And that's not that soldier's fault. That's
right.
That soldier's doing his job.
That crap still happens today. I was, it may have been before I got introduced to Rivers of Recovery. I was just back from Walter Reed, and one of my first occupational therapy, like moving my fingers and trying to get that range of motion back and strength and whatever. He's an awesome dude. I won't say his name just because I've not asked him about it, but he was working on me, and he's a funny guy. He tells everybody in there that, my scars was fighting an alligator or something like that. And then just kind of points at me to tell the story. But there's an older lady in there sitting across the table, and it got brought up by someone else. And she went off just the rudest that I've ever seen about how I should feel ashamed of, what I've done over there and everything else. And which, the doctor or OT over there is like, oh, he didn't know what to think. And which I guess I was calm, cool, and collected enough. I think all I told her was enjoy your freedom and rest of the day or something like that, the polite screw you. But anyways, sadly that still happens today, but what can you do?
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate your service, and all of the people that are military that are watching in the future. Both of us really do appreciate all that you guys have done for the country, because we know that there's no way that we would have our freedoms without our veterans.
Allows people like me to talk at a video camera and keep selling them plastic boats, man.
Selling them plastic boats. All right. I don't know how much time you want to give or not give, and
it's your platform, brother.
Hunting trips.
Yeah.
Rivers of Recovery is finally able to do them. And,
really?
In the South and Jonesboro, I grew up fishing, but I also grew up in the woods hunting.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. It was a long, hard fight for us because of insurance and red tape and advertising that we help with post-traumatic stress and blah, blah, blah. But we're able to do them now, and I'm going full steam ahead. I'm super happy to do it, but at the same time, I'm learning every day that now it's a whole lot more work because we're not slowing down on the fishing side, and we're picking up hunting, and we're going to be doing some research to prove or to show. Growing up hunting, I know it's going to have the same result because I've been doing it and see it. But we'll prove that being outdoors and hunting, and we're anything, duck, dove, deer, anything you can hunt legally, we can do it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so definitely wanted to bring that up. I said earlier that I invite you just to go on and read our research and look at some smiling faces. But with hunting trips right now, we are in desperate need of places to go. If you've got some land that you hunt and you don't mind 4, 5, 6 vets coming out and bow hunting it, or whatever it is, for 2 or 3 days, and it doesn't have to be some big spend a lot of money trip. Unless they're a guide company, I'm not allowed to pay them for it. But if they can donate their property and time, I'm very much in need of that and looking for it, because I'm excited to prove that has the same result. And it opens up a lot more. Some of the guys that we talk to just aren't big into fishing, but they eat and sleep hunting. So be able to reach them better. And then, the money side of it, we're going to be running more trips. So you said groceries earlier. Holy crap, that's gone up. Bad.
I'm embarrassed to say what we spend on groceries in a week.
Yep.
It's everything's more expensive. Fuel, and kayaks. People ask me sometimes, "Oh, why are kayaks so expensive?" And I always tell people that every time a hand touches something, I don't care if it's a kayak, a can of beans, gallon of milk, the cost goes up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're paying the guy to make the jugs. They're paying the guy to fix the machine that makes the jugs. They're paying the guy that loads it into a truck. They're paying the guy to drive the truck. They're paying the guy to unload the truck, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, you're taking it out. The hands that touch things are what cost money. And fuel, all of it. The economy is just a big spider web, and all of those strands, they take their piece or add to it. Man, I can't imagine that you guys would have much trouble finding somebody to donate time on hunting or land. I'll definitely do my part to get the word out on that, because you've got a lot of areas around here that are great for hunting, in both private and public. But I've got some people down here. There's a guy here that he's actually one of the state reps here, but really big, really good guy here in Cotter. He was a combat pilot, and he does the aerovac around here. But
cool.
I always call him, he's kind of the other mayor of Cotter. But I'll probably reach out to him and then maybe have him get in touch with you, and then see. He does some really cool stuff too. He did something where he had some special ops guys, kind of come down for a fishing trip, and
I know which one you're talking about. And if I wasn't trying to say the words, I could tell you what the name of it was.
I can't even think of it either. I just thought it was cool because they had to blur out the guys' faces. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I said, that's some James Bond stuff right there. Like I dig that. But if you don't mind, I may get with him and then have him get in touch with you, because I'm sure he would love to, kind of give some ideas and maybe some things that he can do for you guys. And his name's Jason, just a phenomenal human being, and just an asset to the area here. But I guarantee you, he could probably get you in touch with some people that would help, especially with the hunting part. Fishing, I think you guys have got all the resources in the world. Just like you said, time. is your most important asset on that. But
huge shout out to David Capps and the Fisherman's Lodge. He's helped us a bunch, and on the fishing side of things, we're very solid. The only thing that keeps us from probably living up there is just we got to have the funds to run it.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like you. I thought the hunting, at least for Arkansas and the South area, it would, as soon as I said we could do it, people would be pouring in wanting to, but I've run into some hurdles on that, surprisingly, that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, if you can throw my name out, I'm not afraid to work and talk to them about how we can do it and explain how, it can change your life.
Yeah. And if he can't do something, I'm sure he knows someone that can.
Yeah.
But I'll reach out to him here.
Well, I like telling people it's a whole lot more than just a fishing trip or now I can say hunting trip. The very first one I did, and that's probably what got me hooked and, keeps me motivated on it. There was a guy there, which I was nervous, doing the first one. There's a guy there that he was a little quiet on arrival day. But that can be expected if you're not just a outgoing type person, and he really ended up opening up, and he's probably got some of the craziest military sense of humor of all the trips we've done. It was a hoot. You wouldn't be able to air any of it, but it was a hoot.
Yeah.
But on the last night, like we were, finished eating and wrapping up and just hanging out, and I was spent. So all right, guys, I'm going to bed. And he pulled me aside. He had told me that he had full plans of suicide. And whenever I called him, it was whatever time, I don't remember what time he said, but I offered him a fishing trip, and someone was going that he knew, and that really hooked him. And he told me that, he decided, well, I've got everything in line. He had his affairs in orders for his family and whatever else. So, he was serious about it. And he said, well, what the hell? Why not do, just this one trip, and then we'll get back, go through with it, and everything's done. And he said he was excited about life and fishing. So he's still fishing today.
Man, Carter will do that to you.
Yep.
Man, that's awesome though. It's always amazing how one little thing or just one person can really, I think sometimes, and I always kind of attribute to, train tracks, you got that split, and sometimes it just takes that right person just to hit that lever to get someone on the right track. Because I think people in general are strong, but I think sometimes things can, feel like the walls are closing in, and sometimes it just takes that one little thing. It's kind of like that jolt or that extra, whether it's that smile or handshake or that kick in the pants. Sometimes they just like, all right, I'm good. That hand to help them up, and then watch them go. But
definitely 100%. And like we said earlier, the creating the community is a big part of it, because just because you're up today doesn't mean you're going to be up tomorrow. So when you've got a community of people like that, and a hobby of fishing or hunting or just pure boating and getting out in nature, and then people to do it with it on the not so up days, it can pull you out of the hole. And everybody needs a good swift kick in the ass every now and again. So,
and it's okay not to be okay.
100%.
It's I always tell people I grew up kind of old school, and for better or worse, sometimes you was kind of raised by that generation where it's like, you don't talk about that stuff. You hold it in, and you never see somebody, maybe life get the best of them. They hide behind it, or they bottle it in, and then it's going to overflow. And I've dealt with that in my younger years, and it took a minute. It took a while for me to kind of get past that. And obviously it's nothing compared to what some of you guys deal with, but we've all got that wet bag of hammers that we're dragging behind us. Everyone's got their own issues and their own struggles. And sometimes people kind of, always tell people no matter what you're going through, it's temporary. It's the here and the now. Don't let the here and the now prevent you from having, that future that you want there.
Right. Yeah. And just, like we said earlier, just sometimes you just got to look harder at, whatever incident or where you're at and everything to see the good. But, even in the shitty times, something good comes out of it.
Absolutely.
Take me getting hurt or whatever. If I wouldn't have got hurt, half the stuff I've done since then wouldn't have happened. And not tooting my own horn, but I've done a hell of a lot of good. So
yeah, you absolutely have. Absolutely, man. Man, is there anything else you want to be covering here?
I'm sure, I told you I got scrambled egg for brains now, but I'm sure we're missing a bunch.
You got an excuse. I don't, man.
Yeah, but we're just not putting it out there to everybody that I was probably like that before.
And we're at an hour 10, man. They can find you on Facebook.
Yep.
Levi Crawford.
Yep.
Crawford.
From Jonesboro, Arkansas. I don't know if there's any more on there.
Okay.
Add me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Riversofrecovery.org.
Riversofrecovery.org. And then I've got your phone number on here. So for better or worse, guys, if any of you veterans are struggling and you feel like that no one understands, here, use Levi as a resource. Use Rivers of Recovery or whatever organization that helps vets in a tough time that's close to you.
100%.
You guys matter. I don't care if you're a veteran or just a civilian like me. You matter. So don't ever feel like it's too much for you to handle. If it is, feels that way, reach out to somebody close to you or one of these fine folks like Levi here to help you get you through that dark time there. Levi, thank you so much for joining us. I feel weird saying it was an honor. It was an honor and a privilege for us to have you here. Definitely look forward to having you on again and again, talking about the great things you're doing. Hopefully next time we talk, we're talking about how great the hunting trips have taken off, and you guys are already, hopefully you guys are already starting into the next venture that's going to help out some of our nation's finest here.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you all for everything you do. You're doing great stuff and bringing everybody together. And, as nerve-wracking as some of this can be, I'm glad we did it and I appreciate it. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for all that you do. We can't thank you enough. We know how many lives you've touched. Your story touched us. And so it was great to have you on tonight. Thank you again.
It was a pleasure. Thank you all.
And as Michael said here, calling the VA, also, they will direct you to the hotline. So that's another thing as well. Anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and shut it off here. Again, Levi, thank you so much for coming by. Thank you so much for your time. And, man, keep doing what you're doing. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, brother.